Hi, Marty.
Hey Peter, how are you?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Uh, would you kind of at first tell me a bit about yourself and your goals for this session?
Yeah,
And
so I've practiced so far, I think maybe 3 hours this week on this track. It's a new track for me. First time I'm driving here. The first day on Monday, it took me maybe an hour and a half to just get familiar with the track and be able to turn somewhat consistent laps around the track. And that was, I guess, 2 seconds um, off pace. And then on Tuesday, or I think my last session on Monday, I actually started looking at the data pack, looking at the breaking points and just the line. And I find more time, almost another second. So yeah, so that's good. But typically every week goes like this. I'm able to settle on a pace, learning the new track, and then find an extra second from the data pack. But then the last second remains very difficult. So
yeah,
yeah, I'd like to find out how to squeeze out more time and come closer to the data pack times.
all right. Well, at first I have to admit that I didn't do the data pack here. It's from Martin Kranke, and I accidentally did the wrong track this week,
Yeah, no,
and
no, no, no
I'm not
problem.
totally familiar with the IRL layout of this track. The last chicane is kind of I've never actually driven there,
Uh-huh.
but obviously the rest of the track I know quite well.
Yeah.
I should be familiar with it. Yeah, it is a bit a bit complicated. Complicated is an understatement
Mm-hmm.
because the track has so many. Every turn is very different to one
Mm-hmm.
another.
Mm-hmm.
You have many blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
Radiuses of the turns are increasing and decreasing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not really straightforward to kind of
Yeah. I know the
figure out.
elevation changes and
Yeah, yeah, you have a lot of those, and what's really important on this track is managing where the weight of the car is, especially the first two chicanes where you go on the brake and off the brake and turn in while the elevation or rather the attitude of the track is changing a
mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And what you really want to be doing there, if we look at your data,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna see the second chicane because there was this kind of an anomaly on your
Mm-hmm.
brake,
Mm-hmm.
which you can actually spot here.
Mm-hmm.
You apply almost like 40% brake on the
Right.
initial turning, and then on the
Yeah.
second, like 30.
Yeah.
And usually, when you're on a straight line,
Yeah.
you want to kind of stomp on the brake like you do here
Uh-huh.
when your steering wheel is straight and
Yeah.
the car is kind of in a the car's not moving in any way. You
Yeah.
can brake just like what you've done here,
Mm-hmm.
but actually, what it is in the case in this, I'm just gonna remove the throttle trace. You can see that you have actually quite a lot of steering input
Mm-hmm.
in both times, where you're moving the steering wheel on the second
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
anyways, the attitude of the car is changing
Yeah.
the whole time. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of that kind of aggressive
Mm-hmm.
kind of pumping of the brake,
Yeah.
which would correct on a normal straight line,
Yeah.
you would want to try to do something what Martin is doing here,
Yeah.
which is just applying
Mm-hmm.
very little brake, but
Yeah.
for a bit longer time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What that will do, especially when you turn into the right-hand turn around this area,
Mm-hmm.
is that when you stomp on the brakes, the front tires get low, and therefore they gain a bit more grip. But when you quickly move off of them, the weight is again shifted backwards, and the moment where you need really the fronts to bite, you suddenly start to unload the fronts, and the track kind of drops down for you. So you really want that brake to kind of stick the car in a way there. What is good though, especially in this turn, if we look closer, is that you're actually a bit more on the right. We can actually see that from the brace.
Oh, indeed. Okay, I can see it again.
You're like half a meter to the correct. No, sorry, to the left side of where Martin is,
Yeah.
and that is actually allowing you to gain some time on him on the exit and the next straight. And usually that's not the case what you do with Martin Kranke. I mean,
Right.
where he's really good at is the exit phase of the turns. He usually, when I compare my data against him, I basically never see this happening, that I'm faster on the following straight than he is.
Okay.
So
So
give
how
yourself
what's the trick? Is it the line or is it earlier on the throttle or combination of both?
Yeah, the main trick is the line, because at this point, oh, now it's just good. Yeah, at this point you're around that half a meter, 0.7 meters to the left of him, which gives you
Yeah,
that
got
same
it.
0.7 meters more room to complete the next corner, and that extra room gives you the chance to be on power a lot earlier than he can. Well, not a lot, but
Yeah.
here you can see the difference. It's actually like 20 meters or so.
Yeah, but I have slower speed, so yeah, quite
Yeah,
quite a bit. Oh,
yeah,
but I
you have,
start accelerating a little bit earlier. Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
But I mean, if you fix the entry phase with the brake dabs, I mean, here you can see your speed like drop
Yeah,
very abruptly.
yeah,
And this is the kind of
yeah,
result of the
yeah,
harsh brake
yeah,
application.
yeah.
And then also the second one where you should kind of try to ease off the brakes a bit more. If you would imagine that your kind of corner speed would be kind of the same as Martin, or rather, I would say the same amount less than Martin has,
Yeah,
then already this phase
yeah.
would cover a lot more time.
This reminds me of a question I had. So I've noticed that many times I start off from the very beginning, there's a speed delta where I just come in at the end of the previous straight, I'm a little bit slower. And then through the braking point, I guess even if the shape and the pattern of the braking point is the same, if I'm braking the same amount, but starting from a lower speed, I actually slow down more. So do you, I mean, you and guys at your level, do you have a feel for how fast the car is going? And then are you able to adjust your brake pressure depending on the actual speed you're in? Because I guess here, I know when I need to press the brake and I don't really have a feel for what my speed is. So I just mechanically know where I need to brake. But would you be able, for example, with experience to adjust your brake pressure on the second, let's say on the second braking point so that I don't slow down additionally? And
Not that much, to be honest. I mean, with the skip barber like car, or basically any other than a car which goes over 300 kPa, the differences of the braking points based on your straight line speed they're marginal at best.
okay.
I mean, when you have a draft at a car like Skip Barber, then you just basically on a longer straight you have to think that okay, now I will need to brake like one car length before the normal.
Mm.
But I mean, if your exit speed of of a corner is like slower than the data that you're comparing against,
Mm-hmm.
then the difference in that
Okay. So if
uh,
it's many kilometers per hour, then you would have to adjust. But if it's like 1 or 0.5, something like this, then it's not
yeah,
significant enough.
yeah, you don't need to adjust that, and you will get more changes like that on the track itself, the wind, the conditions, and
Mm-hmm.
like 1-2 kilometer differences are on a straight line when going to braking. They're like
Mm-hmm.
basically non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, during corners, it's a different deal because you spend more time on a corner because you're slower there.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of difference is I mean, on a straight, when you have 2 kilometer difference, it doesn't show that much in time, but in a corner,
Mm-hmm.
especially a slow one, if you have 2 kilometer difference,
Yeah,
it's huge.
got it.
Basically, from what I checked your driving, actually, this corner is pinpointing another mistake
Mm-hmm.
or a habit, might be habitual,
Mm-hmm.
but you might
Mm.
have some oversteer, understeer moment here,
Yeah.
but you end up with the car in an understeering condition,
Mm-hmm.
actually already on full throttle,
Yeah.
where you kind of keep increasing the steering angle
Mm.
all
Wow,
this time.
accelerating. Yeah.
Yeah. While you actually, I would make the claim that if you would have kept the steering angle at this level,
Yeah.
it would have still rotated the same or even better
Oh, okay.
than it is doing here. Because
Mm-hmm.
what the car is doing here, you're putting more slip angle to the front tires.
Mm-hmm.
You're scrubbing off speed. The car isn't accelerating as well
Mm-hmm.
as it could,
Mm-hmm.
and with the more slip angle, the total force, the grip force, is actually less than the optimal.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a natural thing for you to do when, especially on a turn like this,
Mm-hmm.
when you're apexing here,
Yeah.
you will lose front end grip because the track just drops away from you.
Mm-hmm.
But you will need to fight the kind of urge to
Mm-hmm.
just add more wheel angle
So,
because your car, yeah,
mm-hmm. So pretty much the moment I'm full throttle, I should only be unwinding. I guess
yeah,
that
yes,
I,
exactly.
I guess I know the theory, but I didn't realize that I'm doing quite the opposite in
Yep, and
practice.
that's actually a very common problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the most common problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so apparent on your driving as it is on some others. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you would compare against my steering
Mm-hmm.
trace in, I would say 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I had the issue that I basically turned into the corner with a very oversteering car,
Mm-hmm.
and then I applied like 30-40% too much steering lock
Mm-hmm.
in the mid phase, and then
Mm-hmm.
again on the exit phase, I would unwind the steering wheel and get huge amount of oversteer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually fighting my driving style with my setup by making the car more oversteery because I thought
Mm-hmm.
that it was the car that was
Mm-hmm.
understeering,
I
which
see.
caused problems on entry and exit. But mid phase, the car was okay because I was like just
Mm-hmm.
flicking the steering wheel in and making the car understeer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized that I was actually doing that,
Mm-hmm.
I actually started to make some gains on my driving.
Got it. Okay, and then can we look at the steering trace again? So,
Yep.
Martin's is very, I guess, pretty much constant
Yeah.
steering lock. Um,
Yes.
is that what it, so you, is that what it typically should look like?
Yeah. It should be obviously in this kind of place. I think you might even be reacting to what the car is doing after your
Mm-hmm.
brake release here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so I
probably.
wouldn't be worried about stuff like
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
having
yeah.
waves and spikes,
Uh-huh.
because those usually indicate that you're reacting to something that the car is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a long drop or increase
Yeah.
is usually indicating that you're in understeering condition and you're
Mm-hmm.
just adding
Mm-hmm.
more. And actually here you unwind the wheel
Yeah.
back to where it should be. I'm just
Uh-huh.
gonna quickly look at the track position. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're still basically apexing the car, so
Yeah.
you're nowhere near when you're
Mm-hmm.
actually the radius of the car is starting to decrease.
Yeah.
But the front, either the front's kind of got some bite, or
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of unwinded the wheel to where it should be.
Got it.
And actually, from that point on, due to your the wider line in the entry, you can now at the exit phase you can actually
Mm-hmm.
keep less
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
less steering angle than
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah. Okay. And
And
what's the at the end of his is there some correction? Because he see how it goes from right, it goes a little bit into left, turning left very
yeah,
briefly.
yeah, appears that he's also lifting here a bit,
Uh-huh.
so he might have some oversteer condition there.
Okay.
He's not going off the track, but I think he might have suspected that he's gonna go off
Got
track.
it. Okay.
But these kind of things aren't. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you, well, you shouldn't drift even the skip barber,
Yeah.
but this is. I mean,
Yeah, he's responding to what the car
yeah,
is doing.
yeah,
So just to sorry that I have a plan for how to practice. So what I should try to do is once I turn the wheel at a certain angle, from that point on I should be either full throttle, or if I see I'm not gonna make the turn, I should lift a little bit instead of turning the steering wheel more.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're able to make the car turn more by steering more, then you're going too slow.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the whole kind of magic of maximizing the traction circle is to use the least inputs that you can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it's an old saying that you should imagine kind of a string between your right foot or even left foot as well,
Mm-hmm.
brakes and throttle. I mean, when you turn the steering wheel, you should be applying less brake or less
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
throttle. And
Yeah.
obviously, when you unwind the steering wheel, then
Yeah.
then you're able to use more brake.
Okay.
But
Okay. Got it.
that's kind of the idea. But yeah, in this, I think I didn't find that much more kind of errors in your driving, but in this one section only kind of pinpointed
Mm-hmm.
the habitual stuff that you do
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
might be able to, I mean, and there you don't do this kind of
Yeah.
extra steering input in every corner. Usually your steering trace is actually looking pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
over here where the track is starting to drop,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's maybe something that
Mm-hmm.
you might want to think about.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just gonna check out another turn, the long left-hander,
Mm-hmm.
because it's quite interesting
Yeah.
because
This one's tricky.
yeah, it is tricky, but what's actually nice to notice, it's first of all, it will show you how important it is actually to get on the throttle as early as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it will also show to you that in a turn like this, kind of a high speed long turn, you can have the similar results with very different driving lines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you're doing here is what the textbook is telling
Uh-huh.
every driver to do, which is to kind of use the track width a bit more and apex late, so you have kind of the straight line from the
Uh-huh.
braking.
Uh-huh.
But what you can actually see here is that Martin is kind of, well, not kind of, but he is kind of like attacking the corner really hard by turning in early and carrying in quite a lot of speed.
Mm-hmm.
What it forces him to do, though, is that at this point, kind of, I would say his first apex of the
Mm-hmm.
turn,
Mm-hmm.
he's getting into he's getting up quite a lot slower than you are,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually your speed traces pretty much match,
Mm-hmm.
and his exit speed is slightly higher here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the driving lines,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't a reason why you shouldn't be able to match his
Mm-hmm.
acceleration, and the whole
Mm-hmm.
difference comes from basically this point. He's
Mm-hmm.
putting his foot down some 20 meters earlier than you.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 car lengths.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at that speed, it's the time that's measured there is
Yeah.
it's if you would be spectating it from the outside in real time, you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even be able to tell the difference when the throttle goes down.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the whole difference from minus point 0.4 all the way to
Yeah.
0.6,
Yeah.
the whole 2 tenths is coming from
Right.
that like split second
Mm-hmm.
difference when you guys
Mm-hmm.
apply the throttle.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, you can achieve similar results with different lines and different approaches.
Mm-hmm.
The techniques that you both use here couldn't be more apart, because
Yeah.
what you're achieving there and what you're doing there is a
Mm-hmm.
textbook way of
Mm-hmm.
turning in late and apexing late.
Mm-hmm.
But what Martin is doing here, he's apexing the turn like 2 times,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's kind of he's
Yeah. So he's
slowing down.
treating it as a double apex.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And I'm treating
And
it more as a single apex turn.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not really an overtaking corner, but you might want to experiment a bit what you can achieve by taking a tighter line
Mm-hmm.
into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Because always when you leave room and in this example, Martin is gaining you a tenth of a second
Yeah.
before he's getting
Yeah.
slower than you.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, a tenth of a second is enough for someone to stick
Mm-hmm.
their nose on the inside of the
Mm-hmm.
turn and
Mm-hmm.
either
Yeah.
just force the wreck or then overtake you.
Yeah.
Not the smartest move thing to do, but something that
Uh-huh.
you maybe want to kind of think about not even giving the
Yeah.
opportunity for the others
Yeah.
to
One of the
step.
challenges I have with this turn is because you go over the crest of the hill, and I really don't see where I'm going. So I try to stay on the outside and then slowly move in. But if I try to stay closer, I'm much more likely to actually run off track on the inside.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It probably just takes more practice. But I think I just found myself in the grass a few times, and that's why I'm just more just conservative and staying more towards the middle of the
yeah.
track.
It's not bad at all. I mean, apart from the the racing line, kind of when you
Mm-hmm.
think about cars around you,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make a difference. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
compared to Martin, when you're both on throttle,
Yeah.
the difference is 200ths of a second, which
Mm-hmm.
is nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, you can, and I believe that you should even keep the same line that you're running, but just focus on getting early on the
Okay.
throttle.
Okay. Okay.
And when you find gains there, then maybe try to
Yeah.
find
Mm-hmm.
some other lines into the
Yeah.
corner.
Can we please look at the steering trace? Because I don't
Yes.
know if I'm maybe using too much steering here. I know that it should mostly be the throttle and brake, No, it actually looks somewhat.
Yeah, it looks clean, and you can pretty clearly see that you are reacting to the car
Mm-hmm.
quite a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I can see some spikes here, a bit more steering angle, but actually, just gonna see what that
Mm.
drop is here. It's pretty interesting because you're full throttle.
Yeah,
There's no brake,
it's
but
probably the steering.
yeah,
Yeah, this.
it's making this
Yeah.
quite large drop in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
speed actually. So
I think it's probably this uh, two increases of steering angle.
yeah, I think yeah. Martin has like 30 degrees. You have 50, so that's not twice, but
Mm-hmm.
pretty close to.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean this other than those two
Yeah.
kind of spikes,
Yeah.
the trace looks very good. I mean, you can see that you're controlling the car and responding to what it is doing,
Mm-hmm.
and also the throttle trace. I mean, again, the textbook says that you need kind of you need to start slowly with the throttle, and it should be like a progressive
Mm-hmm.
increase.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the textbook. The textbook
Right.
doesn't have bumps and all the
Yeah.
other stuff that goes into the car when you're actually driving.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to adjust the balance with the throttle, which I believe that you're doing
Yeah.
here. It kind of looks,
Mm-hmm. So so that's something I think I'm getting a grasp of now, just balancing the car better with the throttle and the brake. But when do you steer with the steering wheel, and when do you steer with the gas and brake? That's something I guess intuitively I'm just doing combination of both. But when do you do which?
um, I would say that in a situation where you have a flat like 90-degree turn, there you would want to use the textbook approach that just brake on a straight line and turn
Mm-hmm.
in and then apply throttle.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have, because the car is designed to do that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not designed to be drifted around or anything. It's just brake, turn,
Mm-hmm.
accelerate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when you have a track like what we're looking at now,
Mm-hmm.
when there's like fast chicanes, slow chicanes, elevation changes, those are always the areas where you either you don't have the setup options or basically any other possibility to kind of manipulate the balance of the car,
Mm-hmm.
but instead use the driving inputs to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And basically, you to kind of get more front grip, you would either do this kind of dab on the throttle.
Mm-hmm.
With Martin, it's a bit more apparent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've done a bit more, a
Mm-hmm.
couple of those even
Mm-hmm.
on the exit phase, and on the entry phase. If you suddenly have a bit oversteer, you can then counter that oversteer with a dab
Mm-hmm.
on the throttle like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm
But
trying to make sense of it. So I guess if the steering wheel is not doing to the car what I want it to do, then I can use the combination of brake and throttle to actually move the balance so that I have a better bite on the
um,
front wheels.
I would at first just kind of lift the throttle. I mean, if we're talking about the exit phase,
Mm-hmm.
and the Skippy will start to quite easily understeer,
Mm-hmm.
I would just lift the throttle a bit, pretty much what you have going on
Yeah.
here, and usually that will allow the front to bite. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna lose time with that, but then just
Yeah.
kind of readjust for the next lap, so
Mm-hmm.
your entry and mid phase of the corner is positioned so that you don't get that understeering moment.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, especially since like I think 2 or 3 builds ago, the Skippy changed so that you don't need to, or you shouldn't need to, like drift it anymore. Before it was the case that to achieve fastest lap times, you would kind of flick the rear to the side of the car when you enter the corner and just like keep almost zero steering wheel input or even opposite lock. But the tire, how it is currently, is a bit more sensitive to either heat or slip. I don't know which, but it doesn't like to slide around. And I personally discovered that like I don't know, just a few months ago
Yeah.
when I kind of drove too slow into a corner. And after that, the delta was showing that I was actually faster than on my fastest lap. And yeah, it was quite a fun eye opener for me. So you, I mean, previously you would use the brake to flick the car, but these days,
Okay.
that I think, especially on the entry, the textbook way of driving would be the correct way.
Okay. Just to repeat again, because I'm trying to make sense of how to use it. So if I'm turning the steer in this particular corner, I'm already on the throttle. I guess I shouldn't really turn of it as I need to use the throttle if the car is not steering right. It's more like I try to go full throttle, but I see I can't really go yet, so I release the throttle. Or do you think my blips here are just to balance the car, to help it steer correctly?
I think these look like the type that you are just balancing the car,
Okay.
and the speed trace is kind of showing the same. That
Yeah.
there are some variations there, very minor, but overall it's like it's what you should be doing as well in this
Okay.
type of corner.
Okay.
I mean, the apex takes longer time than is in a slow corner, and you just kind of keep the car
Yeah.
balanced there, and you
Okay.
can move the balance a bit with
Yeah.
applications like this.
Yeah. Okay, so I want the car to neither oversteer nor understeer. That's what I
Yeah,
use the pedals for, and then the steering is just independent. It's just which way I'm pointing the car once it's properly balanced.
yeah.
Okay.
Basically, well, this corner is a bit difficult example of like holding the steering wheel at the correct place
Yeah.
because the elevation changes are so dramatic that you
Yeah.
kind of have to
Yeah.
move around in the car.
Okay.
But if we look at which turn would be, I think the turn before this would be great for. Just gonna give it a second to load. Yeah, so here, well, both of you are doing some corrections
Yeah.
about the same time as your throttle applications, which is again fine as the I would say average trace is pretty. I mean, if you just remove those
Yeah.
spikes from both of you, the line is pretty fluid in a way that it doesn't have any I would call them bags that you
Yeah.
don't kind of have the steering wheel too long winded up and then it suddenly drops. But it's kind of a smooth movement,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what you want to achieve. And I think what you have here already is one of your best sectors, under a tenth behind Martin, and it in a way shows because you're just doing things correctly here. There's nothing kind of
Why do I have extra steering lock? Is it
here.
different line? Yeah. No.
No, it's not different line.
So unnecessarily turning the steering wheel.
Yeah, I would say so. You're on the entry to the I don't know if you would call this even a corner,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you're a bit wider. I don't know if there's less grip or what.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's again displaying
Yeah.
the reaction of having too much
Yeah.
steering lock. I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
you're again faster on the exit than Martin is,
Mm-hmm.
but on at the time that you have that more
Mm-hmm.
steering ability, you're
Yeah.
actually turning in
Yeah.
quite a lot slower than
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
pretty interesting. One good place to kind of practice a turn like this when you really don't need steering input much, but some people just use too much steering
Mm-hmm.
input is Phillip Island turn one.
Mm-hmm.
It's on most cars it's just flat out and you really don't need to even think about it.
Yeah.
But if there you make this sort of mistake, then
Mm-hmm.
what happens next is that your fronts are overheated, they don't have grip, and your speed is lower.
Mm-hmm.
And all that you can fix by
Yeah.
just keeping your concentration up that
Okay.
over the easy section.
Okay.
I had one more turn that I wanted to talk to you with a bit more detail. The
Yeah.
hairpin. Again, this turn is one that's showing the importance of throttle application.
Mm-hmm.
Even though mid-turn, your throttle, you're starting to apply throttle,
Mm-hmm.
but once Martin goes on throttle, he's
Yeah.
more aggressive with it and
Mm-hmm.
kind of stays there. He goes
Mm-hmm.
100%, then shifts, and
Mm-hmm.
off he goes. And that's causing this whole, basically
Yeah.
tenth difference to the
Mm-hmm.
the next braking zone.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're also doing here is that you're basically holding a bit more
Mm-hmm.
tighter line
Mm-hmm.
on the sort of apex of the turn. It's a bit
Mm-hmm.
difficult place because you don't have reference marks for the actual apex
Yeah.
because the curbs are kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But what you should try to do is to change your speed trace to more this V shape
Mm-hmm.
that Martin has, that you slow down and immediately start accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
While what you do here is that you slow down and you do maintain more
Mm.
speed in the
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah.
But because if we could have like vectors here
Mm-hmm.
pointing, we
Mm-hmm.
would see that Martin's car is actually pointed
Yeah.
many degrees more to the right than you,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is causing him to be able to
Yeah.
accelerate faster.
Okay. So does it mean he would actually have more steering lock at the bottom of the V, right? Or no?
Not really. Your traces are quite identical.
Mm-hmm.
Him
So
appears to
how
have.
does he do it? Is it the trail braking that helps him
Yeah, I
rotate
think
the
it's.
car?
Yeah, he's here. You can see. This is actually good that you mentioned because I was almost forgetting to tell you about that.
Uh-huh.
Your in many places your braking trace looks like pretty much the same that you have here.
Uh-huh.
It's not bad at all, but when you want to find those last tenths of a second,
Mm-hmm.
you will want to think about what you do when you're lifting off the brake.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin is just simply braking a bit longer into the turn all the way to the apex,
Mm-hmm.
at which point he's already,
Mm-hmm.
well, he's even overlapping a bit here,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not that much of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that when he stops braking in a corner like this, a slow turn, it's already acceleration time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then I guess maintain more steady brake pressure, and I should want to see a faster decay in the brake pressure trace.
Not so much. I mean, I would argue that until about this point,
Uh-huh.
or even this point, sorry, your braking is actually better than what Martin is doing.
Uh-huh.
The kind of plateau what you have here is exactly what you want to have with the Skippy
Mm-hmm.
or any non-downforce car.
Mm-hmm.
But what you want to focus on is that when you get off the brake,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of trail braking,
Yeah.
just the tiniest amount,
Mm-hmm.
will allow you to brake, or
Mm-hmm.
rather keep slowing down from this point where you are
Mm-hmm.
now all
Mm-hmm.
the way to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're slower, obviously, at that point, you're able to turn in a bit more tighter
Yeah.
and then point the car towards the exit and then
Yeah.
immediately be on the throttle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But trail braking, as it is currently, it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult thing in a race car
Mm-hmm.
is actually learning how to get off the brake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can hit your brake marks 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Your steering trace might be perfect, but if you're getting off the brakes too easily, I
Mm-hmm.
mean too fast, then you're either not you're going to either be too fast on the apex of the turn, or you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna run wide, or then you will
Mm-hmm.
have to start braking earlier.
Yeah.
And but if you use too much brake, then you're just gonna lock the front and
Mm-hmm.
again go wide.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that requires a lot of practice to get correct,
Yeah.
and the amounts of brake that you need to use when trail braking it's minimal,
Mm-hmm.
less than 10% of
Yeah.
what the brakes are able to give to you.
Yeah.
Overall, you're driving. I mean, if we look at the lap that you did, this is the fastest lap, but I checked your a couple of other laps, and there's no like significant mistake anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this lap you can see kind of a weird movement here.
Yeah.
I think you went a bit wide on this
Mm-hmm.
last turn on this occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But what this graph is telling me is that there's no there isn't anything kind of
Mm-hmm.
big going wrong in this lap. And of course, if you're 1.1 seconds off Martin Krönke, then you already should know that you're not doing many things wrong.
Right.
I
So
mean
there's
that's
many little things that I need to improve.
yeah, and those little things are just I would say that they're just managing the kind of the weight movement of the car and therefore also the balance of the car in different type of corners, and also realize the moments when you have to apply those different techniques.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the basic driving what you have here is good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the steering trace, like I said, it looks
Yeah.
pretty pretty solid. You have a couple of these
Yeah.
kind of dips,
Yeah.
but apart from those few, I mean, it's identical.
Yeah.
And if
Mm-hmm.
it's identical to what Martin Krönke is doing,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I would be able to tell you to do better.
Right. Right. Okay. But yeah. Yeah. Again, I guess those little things add up, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I should pay more attention to the steering lock. And what's a good way to feel through the force feedback whether I need or should be steering more or
Mm,
less?
it depends on really what type of wheel you have.
I have a
I'm not
direct drive.
okay. Then if your force feedback is set correctly, you should be able to feel this, or rather, you will lose the feel of the car when you're at the right speed and right steering angle.
I should lose the feel, so it should
Yeah,
like be it should sort of not really move, or I mean I know how it sort of feels light, as if like the front end is in the air. Is that the
yeah.
feeling?
Yeah, in a way, it kind of loses the edges of the fine details. It feels like the steering wheel is like you would have a damper or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a weird sensation. Personally, I haven't been able to experience it with anything else than direct drive wheels
Mm-hmm.
because the force feedback isn't detailed enough to
Mm-hmm.
kind of transmit what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
But especially with the kind of a slower car with the kind of almost street tires that the Skip Barber has, you
Mm-hmm.
will have this kind of I would say mushy
Mm-hmm.
feeling in the steering wheel
Mm-hmm.
when you're at the limit.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to feel a bit unresponsive.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to feel, I mean, if you do little like couple of degree changes in the steering wheel, you will not actually have any reaction in the car because
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of right there where
Mm-hmm.
it belongs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if I sense this, then it just means don't turn anymore. Just hold
Yeah,
the steering lock.
yeah. And the easiest way, at least for me to, this is especially with the faster cars and with cars that have more like the tire is a bit more edgy, that the grip falls off faster.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling that I get from the feedback of the wheel is not so much, but rather the it's completely unconscious
Mm-hmm.
kind of work what I do, but I try to measure the rate of how should I say the turn rate of the car,
Mm-hmm.
and when I kind of get the maximum out of it, then or rather when I increase the steering input and realize that the turn rate of the car is not increasing
Mm-hmm.
anymore, then I
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm where I should be,
Mm-hmm.
or possibly a bit too fast or too
Mm-hmm.
much steering input.
And you
So I
judge this by just the rotation of the car visually?
yeah,
Okay.
and at times from the feedback of the wheel, but I would say it's like 70%
Mm-hmm.
visually and 30%
Okay.
feedback, and I just
Okay. So,
invented this number. So
so for the Skippy, it's actually helpful because the wheel would also give me this feedback, and I can sort of calibrate my visual perception with my perception from the steering wheel.
I wouldn't really look at the steering wheel that much, but
Uh-huh.
rather the keep my eyes on the horizon or
Mm-hmm.
whatever kind of visual marks I have around the track to
Mm-hmm.
kind of realize what kind of like rate of change of rate the car has and how it is affected. And usually, I mean, if I go too fast or turn too much or turn too little, there's not much that I can do during that corner anymore. But I can kind of start using that knowledge already to the next corner, so I kind of have at least some sort of clue of the current conditions. And especially the next lap in the same place, I already know that, okay, last time I went a bit too deep in there and
Mm-hmm.
the car did this and that, and then I try to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the rate of the turning rate of the car versus the steering angle, that's definitely one of the most important bits of
Okay.
finding the limit.
So when the turning rate of the car sort of peaks, and I'm turning more and it doesn't turn any faster, that means that's the limit.
Yeah, or
Uh,
actually at that point where you're turning more and it doesn't turn, you're over the limit already.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the closer you can get to the
Yeah.
point of
Yeah, but I guess if I'm aware of this, I would know for the next lap how much I can actually turn through that
Yeah,
corner. Okay.
yeah, or at least hone it closer and closer. And
Yeah.
obviously, when you start to observe your the rate of turn with the car a bit more
Mm-hmm.
in a bit more detailed way, and then eventually make that whole process like subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
then you're already like you will be able to do quite wonders with the car.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy at first to realize because you might think that the car is kind of sliding or oversteering, even understeering, and all those give you this
Mm-hmm.
different kind of perceptions of what the car is
Mm-hmm.
actually doing and what you want it to do. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes those things conflict, and you might
Mm-hmm.
think that it's doing something completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But when you just stay focused and keep an eye out on the rate of turn and
Mm-hmm.
your own steering input and how
Mm-hmm.
also the pedal inputs affect that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you're going to do great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I had one more question. We were looking at your data last few weeks with Martin, with David, with Rance, and there's something. I mean, there's something different in your driving style in the Skippy, where you're applying throttle while braking. And I think everyone's guessed that what you're doing is dynamically moving the brake bias. You would have like 5-10% of throttle uh, in the braking phase or
uh,
at the end of the braking phase. So is that what it is?
yeah, it is. That's again probably something that I do quite subconsciously, as this was news to me.
Uh-huh.
But
We can look at
yeah,
the previous week and
yeah, I'll just quickly. I think, well, at least Zandvoort is something that
mm-hmm,
I remember fairly well, and I think it has a turn where I particularly use the throttle braking
mm-hmm.
quite a lot. But yeah, it is kind of adjusting
Mm-hmm.
the balance of the car, because if you move the brake balance so much forward that you don't have any rear locking, then at times you might be just you might have too much.
Yeah, I think Zandvoort wasn't a good example because the track temps were different this season. So these lap times are not really comparable.
Yeah, but I think I can still. I mean, because I remember Zandvoort so well
Okay.
that I can kind of pinpoint the places where I use that throttle braking technique.
Yeah.
I think it's already the first turn. At least that's what I think. Yeah, there you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, if we would look at the wheel spins,
Uh-huh.
we might find something from there. It's a bit difficult to judge.
Yeah, I guess there's
Yeah,
uh
there
s-
definitely.
there's less slip
Yeah,
on your car than on mine.
yeah, and I think that peak. Oh, now it just disappeared again. I'll just quickly find it another time.
It loses the it
Yeah,
loses. You have to remember the offset, I
yeah.
guess.
I guess it was around this point where I had the highest,
Uh-huh.
or rather, we both had the highest.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you can see some throttle
Yeah.
application.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just
So do you anticipate that you will have more slip because of the heavy braking and you apply the throttle a little bit, or do you actually feel it that the tires are about to lock up? Um,
mm, I guess a bit of both. Um, uh, I think it's a bit both. I mean, there's no way that I could like intentionally do
mm-hmm,
this kind of
mm-hmm,
application. I mean, it's almost as quick as
mm-hmm.
is a tap on the throttle when I'm downshifting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like three times the time of a
Mm-hmm,
normal blip.
mm-hmm,
So I would say that it's both in
mm-hmm,
a way.
mm-hmm,
And it's also at some point, it's not usually advisable,
mm-hmm,
or I wouldn't advise to use throttle when you're like in an entry phase of the corner, like here,
mm-hmm,
because what that usually will do for any car,
mm-hmm,
that it will induce a bit of understeer into the car because
mm-hmm,
obviously the fronts are
mm-hmm,
unloaded again, and the car
mm-hmm,
will understeer, and
mm-hmm,
that's also the point
mm-hmm.
of the turn where you want
Yeah, you
the
want to be
car to
turning,
get,
yeah.
yeah, exactly, you want to be the hot to do the most of the turning as early as you can, so you don't
Mm-hmm,
want that much understeer here.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, I quickly looked at the setup differences that was between my wait, no, that was obviously between
Yeah, I think it's
your
the
lap.
same. It's just I have more fuel, but oh, the other, this is a bug in iRacing's. Uh, oh, that's the car physics. That's
Yeah,
is it gets different when they actually measure it when the car is on the track instead of when it's in the garage. So,
yeah,
but all the other uh, the things that you can actually modify on the setup are the same.
yeah. But there was actually I think Martin on the Sonoma lap, he
Oh
had
yeah,
I think 2 or 3% more front
yeah,
brake.
yeah. He used different setup.
Yeah, so that's why you probably don't see
Mm-hmm.
stuff like this
Yeah.
happening. But then again, in our team, we call braking habit or braking brake bias, like what I have,
Mm-hmm.
just Martti brake, because
Uh-huh. Right.
other guys just hate it. But
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
I tend to set up the cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Um, do you have anything else? Any questions
No,
or
I think
thoughts?
that gives me things to work on, and then hopefully we can chat again in a couple of days. Um, we'll have put in more practice time, and hopefully we'll have found more time based on your suggestions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the steering wheel. I mean, I always try to find like 3 points, and that's the steering wheel for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just try to minimize the use of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then find a way to modulate the brake a bit more
Mm-hmm.
at the trail braking, and also to use it to your advantage to kind of give the front tires
Mm-hmm.
some stick
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
places where the track drops.
Yeah.
And also the last thing to for the long left sweeper, just experiment a bit with the different lines
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and concentrate on getting to
Mm-hmm.
full power as early
Yeah.
as you can.
Yeah. 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 Cool. Thanks a lot, Marty. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yep, talk to you soon.